No, it should actually be an and. One of the things that we need to remember is that as we are going to be placing this information into the auxiliary fund, one of the things that we need to remember is the verbiage for what is going to be journalized. Because remember, you have your cash account, and then this is a separate asset right here. Okay, this is your another asset which is petty cash. You're paying out of your petty cash. So if you're paying from petty cash, let's say something that you haven't journalized, that should be journalized, then you need to. Whether it's a miscellaneous expense, whether it is postage, whether it's a delivery expense, whether it's something that is going to be miscellaneous that you're not really going to purchase every single day from your office petty cash fund. I would, if you're going to go ahead and be getting coffee every day from the petty cash, then of course you set up that fund to find out how much you're spending over the year, over a month, or over 6 months. But if you're only doing it every once in a while, getting lunch, getting takeout, making a donation,
ordering donuts for the office.
Oh, yeah, which we didn't need any. Ordering donuts for the office, things like that. Those would go all under a miscellaneous expense because you're not going to be doing that consistently. But if you know that you're going to be buying postage consistently, or having packages delivered and you have to pay what is called COD or cash on delivery, then you have to pay it. Then you pay it out of petty cash, and you pay that delivery fee that's there. If you're going to have a cleaning expense, and you're always going to have some kind of a cleaning expense, either that you're going to be buying stuff or paying somebody to come in, depending on how much you have in your petty cash, then that would be something that you're going to categorize as well. Because remember, accounting is all about making sure that we expense and we see all the stuff that we're expensing, because we want to make those decisions about what we're going to keep doing, and other areas where if we need to, we can actually begin to do away with. Okay? For example, instead of going out for coffee every single day, make the expense, buy a coffee maker, and start making it there in the office, depending on how much is purchased. Okay? But then again, you don't want to go, it could be even more expensive if you start buying the flavored coffee, right? Instead of buying the Folgers that'll last you for months. Well, especially if you're the only one that drinks coffee at home. But anyway, that's neither here nor there, so we'll continue. So today, the other thing also that we need to talk about is, Jose, you're going to talk about vouchers.
Okay, so now vouchers, this is basically going in back to what I was telling y'all yesterday, or the Monday actually, was where the book's going to give you the list of transactions, right? And now the one thing that'll give it away to identify what you're going to record here in the auxiliary record is that there's going to say voucher number at the end of each transaction. And usually when it says the voucher number at the end for a transaction, you're going to know that it's going to be within recording in your auxiliary record and not inside your journal. The only thing that you're going to basically record in your journal entries that's relative to your petty cash is when you're establishing it and replenishing it. That's it. So, shall we get started?
I guess so. Did we find the toy guy?
Yeah, I'm the toy guy now.
No, you. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Don't be. No, I'm not gonna say.
Don't be crazy like me.
No, you have no hope.
Yeah, just
683 is what we're gonna be doing. Okay. So we go to 683, and you're going to find that on page 234. Now 6B, is it B1 or B2?
6B1.
6B1. It's going to be a little different, but you're going to be doing basically the same thing. You're just going to be doing the reconciliation. But for 6A3, we're going to be doing the reconciliation, and we're also going to be journalizing, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, journalizing as needed. So the first thing that we're going to see is the following transactions that we did to establish the petty cash fund. And then the other thing also is that we're going to be looking at some of the things that we're doing that involves the petty cash and those that are not going to involve the petty cash, right? So we're going to journalize things. So the first thing that we're going to do then is to begin to journalize the first item that is there on the first in your general journal, which is to set up the petty cash for how much? $150. And he did it via check number 14. Now the reason why at times the business will want to record the check number is just in case if they don't have any kind of stub on the end. Or have you ever seen those checks where it has the paper that'll automatically give you a copy of it? Sometimes you can tell everything that's there that's pre-printed, but you can't really tell the amount. So instead what they're going to want to do is to then they're going to want to make sure that they know which check number is issued for what, so that they don't forget. So again, here we see that we're establishing the petty cash out of cash, so you debit petty cash, and then you credit the cash for check number 14. That's the first thing, okay? Then, notice, paid $20, okay, before we even get that, yes, let's go ahead and before we even do that, let's go to the...
We actually have to go back into our auxiliary record and actually show the establishment on here. So you actually wouldn't even put a check number in here. All you'll do is just put the date that you did the last time, April 1st. You'll skip the voucher number because it's a check number that we already know. In the description, you'll just put establishment because that is what we are doing. Establishing
the petty cash.
Our petty cash. And it'll be done under the receipt area because we have the proof. We know it's going to be a check. $450. And that's it.
So 150, right?
Yes.
I thought you said 450.
I don't know. Maybe it's my accent.
What?
Maybe it's just my accent.
Yeah. All right. Then on the 5th, notice what it says here, and it'll tell you when you're paying for petty cash. So, pay $20 from petty cash for postage voucher number 1. Okay. So because you're taking it from petty cash, you're not going to journalize that. You're going to go into your auxiliary record for petty cash, and you're going to put here on the 5th that you did what? It's not, you're going to show that you paid postage for $20.
Voucher number 2?
Voucher number 1.
Okay. And you're gonna have to put it under the payment section.
Payment.
And also under its specific area as well.
Notice we've already set it up. The fact that we know we're going to be paying for postage there. Okay? Now the reason that we have a receipt, the reason that we show receipt here for $150 is because we actually have the receipt, which is the check number. Whenever you're taking money out of the auxiliary record for petty cash, it's actually going to be a payment that you're taking money out because you're paying for something. Okay? And the reason that you have a voucher number or a receipt or an invoice is to show again the record of that actually happening. Okay? Did you guys see the news last night? Absolutely not. Last night on Channel 5 they were saying that, I forget which school district, and it happens all the time. This happened to be with payroll, but it can also happen with a petty cash fund as well. But there was 2 ladies that were arrested because of the fact that they were falsifying time cards. And because it is with the school district, those are federal funds that they get from the feds and also from the state. So because it was a government record, they were falsifying a government record, they were charged with that. Not just the mother, but the 21-year-old daughter. So both are in the can right now for complete stupidity, because some way, somehow they're going to get caught. I don't care how long it takes, somebody's going to get caught. So again, making sure that there is a receipt or a payment document to show that something did happen, which is that voucher, right? So then on the 8th then, paid $25 from petty cash for office supplies, voucher number 2. So we would do the same thing. On the 8th, office supplies, excuse me, for $25. Then on the 15th, notice we're doing something completely different. Issued a check, number 15, from Upright Corporation for $250 from past purchases on account. Number 1, the amount should let you know if it's $250, you don't have that amount in petty cash. So what are you going to do? You're going to go back to your general journal. Okay? So we're going to go to the journal, and it's going to say that we're going to pay what? It says here, from past purchases on account. On account means what? Accounts what?
Payable.
Very good. Accounts payable. So you're going to then debit your accounts payable and credit what? Cash. Even though it was with a check, but it's still coming out of your cash. Then on the 17th, paid $19 from petty cash for office supplies. We're running through office supplies like there's no business. I don't know why. What kind of office supplies we're running through, I don't know. It could be tape. And it's voucher number 3.
What was the check number for the 15th?
Check number for the 15th was 15. Voucher number 3. $19 for office supplies. All right, now we have on the 20th.
What happened?
Check number 16. Again, check number 16 for Moore Corporation for $725 for past purchases on account. On account, again, what are we paying off? Accounts payable. So you're going to go to your journal because you do not have $750 in your petty cash.
150. Oops.
Check number 16. And typically your check should go in order. If you don't have a check that is in order, you need to find out why on your check register. $725. And that's why if you have a check that you're not going to use or you messed up, you always put across it void so that it's not used at all. And then you still record it in your checkbook that you voided a certain check so that you know where all your checks are. And they are sequential, just to make sure that you know where all they are and that no one's taken one without you knowing, especially in a business.
It's $725? Oops. Oops. I'm just testing y'all.
Sure. Alright, then on the 24th, here we go. We're going back to the auxiliary fund because we're paying $10 from petty cash for postage, voucher number 4. And again, voucher number.
So it goes in the auxiliary record.
Isn't that what I said?
No,
You're
you
not
thought
paying
it.
attention to me, are you?
You thought it.
No. Put attention.
You thought it. You.
I'm going to keep all of these recordings.
Why would you delete them? I found that very offensive that you would even consider deleting them.
Because I'm not going to delete them. I wouldn't use them because remember we're going to a new book
What?
in the fall. So they may be new problems.
Lame.
Let me go to accounting too.
You can still use
Accounts
it for the
payable.
rules.
It'll be a different book.
You can still use it for the procedures as a supplemental thing.
This is true. I could use it as a supplemental.
So I will live forever in this
In
accounting class.
this accounting class.
For all it is eternity.
Oh, even when you're old and gray.
I remember that class. I was the tutor there. The teacher?
Hey.
She'd been there forever. She founded the school.
I did not.
She's still there. That's exactly the same.
She's still there. Hasn't changed a bit. I'm telling you, she's something out in one of them Marvel movies.
Still working at it.
Still working out at the gym. New gym though, but the gym's already closed down.
Here we go, 26. We always go on the side here. Paid $12 for petty cash for local church donation voucher number 5. Now notice,
Wow.
it's considered a miscellaneous payment. The reason that they consider it a miscellaneous payment is because they're taking it from petty cash. It's something that really should not be done from petty cash at all. Donation should have come from, my personal point of view, from the owner, not from petty cash, unless he didn't have any money. But he should still pay back that from miscellaneous. And again, like I said, the reason that we're putting it into miscellaneous is because that's going to be a one-time thing. He's not going to do it all the time, as he has set it up for office supplies and for postage. The next one, issued a check number 17 to Jeff Kloon for to pay for office equipment, which was $750. There's where you get the $750. We're going to go back to the General Journal.
28th?
Yep,
What happened?
check 17. Paid Jeff Kloon for office equipment. Now they give you a lot of information, Jeff Kloon. But remember, because you're setting it up into your accounting general ledgers, you don't have a ledger for Jeff Kloon. You bought office equipment from him, but you're going to set up the asset for office equipment. So you're going to put it in office equipment, and then you're going to pay cash. Check number 17.
We'll get into specific subsidiary ledgers.
Oh, you're going to love
Later.
those, Robert, even more. You're going to get even more detailed. When is that? Is that in chapter 7?
I think that's after 7 and
So
8.
before the dropout date, right?
It'd be
Hey.
after the dropout date.
No, that's right. Next week we get into payroll. You're going to love that.
Yeah. Whoops.
What?
Now I'm gonna go ahead and put in here the specific person, just so y'all can get
Kloon, not Kloom.
Oh, Jeff Loon. Okay. Just so y'all can get used to seeing it, because eventually we're gonna have to do this. Get really specific
Very
within our
specific.
journals, so you know exactly which transaction it's to. Because later on we're gonna talk about subsidiary ledgers, and it's basically just a more detailed ledger account
Payable.
for payable and for accounts receivable.
Exactly.
What your customers owe you and what you owe to your vendors. But we'll get into that in a couple chapters. Just a little teaser. Especially for you online
It's a
class.
trailer for upcoming events.
Especially for you, your online class.
Yeah. Now, here we go. On the 30th, we're now going to replenish the petty cash. Check number 18. Assume, notice what it's saying. Assume that there is no shortage or overage, meaning that everything should balance.
Can I just infer?
Go ahead.
No, can we infer that we're replenishing? That there's no shortage?
Instead of assuming,
Yeah.
aren't you inferring that right now?
Because you don't want to assume.
No one wants to assume
Because you're going to make a ass
out of you and me,
out of you and me.
and nobody wants that.
Get it? Get it? Get it? Anyone get it?
Do we need peppermint?
Do we need to write it down?
I need chocolate.
Huh?
Oh! Not to worry.
That's next door. That tall, skinny, scary dude has it.
Here we
We'll
go.
go mug him right here.
Scared now.
What?
I'm scared now.
No. scared was when he was yesterday when I found something for him. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're going to make sure, remember this is the receipt, but what we're going to do is we're actually going to go and begin to total, and it should say total here, total up all the amounts that we have. Remember your receipts are 150, your payments are 86, then this right here, don't get freaked out by this, because this should total to, is that going to total to 86? Yes, it should. Yes, it does. So your postage expense, your office expense, and your miscellaneous expense should all total up to the payments that you made here on your vouchers that you have. So it's 86. Now, in order to come back to $150, what we're going to do first is we're going to show how much money we have left over. So we're going to see what our ending balance is going to be. So down here, you're going to put in ending balance. Over here. There you go. Balance. And how do we get that ending balance? You're going to subtract your 150 from your 86, and you're going to get what?
Subtract these two. 64? That is correct. And you're going to put the 64 underneath the 86
As
so
well?
that you have balances. So you have balances, quote unquote, balances. Because, you know, things that balance have the same thing on each side. In case you didn't know. To total. Ow, my head hurts now.
Why?
I don't know.
So now, the next thing that we're going to put here is we're going to show then, if this is our ending balance, we're now going to show how much money do I need to replenish. So you're going to have here replenishment or replenish, petty cash account, whichever. Is going to be what? Again, $86. So, after you've done that, then your new balance, after you replenish, is going to be your $150. Now, this may seem tedious, but remember, if you ever get audited, you need to show all of your work. In other words, how did you get there? Exactly. You have to explain it all. So now that we've done all of this, we now have to go back into our general journal, right? And replenish the petty cash account on April the 30th with check number 18. So you go back, of course, make sure that you're saving this. So now we go back to the general journal, right? And on August the 30th, you're going to say what? Petty cash for how much? You're going to debit petty cash for how much?
Well, we're not going to debit it. We actually have to just show all the expenses.
Oh, that's right. Sorry. You were going to have to go ahead and show all the expenses as well. I'm sorry. We do have expenses that are there. So you're going to take the totals for your postage expense and then replenish.
So basically what you have to do is you have to look at
The
your
totals.
auxiliary record, see the totals for all these general expenses to show where that money went, where it left out of petty cash. But the weird thing about this is that it doesn't show the money going back into petty cash. You just explain it in your explanation area, your third row, which I kind of don't like because it just shows that it's coming out of cash. But you say replenishment of petty cash.
Because it's still cash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you have to identify in your general journal that
It's coming out of money, the cash.
that you showed the money leaving, and now you're taking that same amount out, and you're just moving it to petty cash.
Because this is what's happening. Okay, throughout the month. Throughout the month you've got petty cash, right? And you're showing all of the expenses that are going out of, like the postage, right? The postage, the miscellaneous, the, what else do we have?
Office supplies.
Okay? This money has all come out, even though it's out of petty cash, it's already going out of cash. All you're doing when you're journalizing is you're saying, you're actually showing, I spent this amount of money in this expense. Because remember, for the month, every expense has to be journalized, and we're going to be putting it in there. Now, the reason why it seems a little weird that all of this totals to $86 and you're now replenishing petty cash from cash is because that's actually what you gotta do. The 86 bucks, even though it's already left, you have to go ahead and put it back into petty cash as a replenishment, and all you're doing is journalizing the fact that you're saying this is where the money went. So, and the auxiliary account is actually helping you keep track of where the money went. If not, then you would have to be writing a check, or you'd have to be paying the postage and taking it out of cash all the time, instead of just going ahead and doing it out of the petty cash, which would be a little bit easier to do. In a sense, your petty cash is almost like your debit card. You're just taking it out of that amount instead. It's a prepaid debit card with only a certain amount of money in it. Okay, so this is basically all you have to do for this here. Now for B, is it B3?
6B1.
Why do I always want to go to B3?
I don't know.
This is all for this one?
Yes, please say that one.
And you're done with your first assignment, quote unquote.
Now, the next one though, for work.com, you're going to be doing the same thing. The only difference is you need to make sure you're going to be doing a bank balance. It's not a auxiliary. It's where you're reconciling to the bank. It's a little different, okay?
Also,
How so?
yeah, so we just like, so this is like what we're doing for the first time, right?
Yes.
Yes. Where we were, with the daily assignments, yes, where we're actually reconciling. But remember, you need to make sure that you understand what we have and where the information goes. So we're going to get you started in a sense. So notice what it says. It says that work.com received a bank statement from the Waldorf Bank indicating a bank balance a balance of $7,800. Okay? Bank balance. So which side is that going to go on? Right? Bank balance. Right there.
Oh, how much?
$7,800. Wouldn't that be nice?
$800. I don't even have that much. I don't.
After all my bills are paid, neither do I. Okay, then it says that based on the check stubs, the ending checkbook balance was $8,320. Obviously, there's some things that have not been recorded or balanced that they haven't put in. So what our task is to prepare a bank reconciliation for work.com as of July the 31st, 2019 from the following information. Then you also need to journalize the items that are needed. Now, in this scenario, items that are going to be journalized are going to be, remember, your service fees. Fees that you don't, anything that you don't have not already taken out of your checkbook are the things that you have to reconcile and balance for. Okay? We need to remember what outstanding means. Outstanding check means what? I have recorded it, but what?
Hasn't gone through.
It hasn't gone through the bank. So I wouldn't put that on the check side. I would put that on what? The bank side. Now, I would put that on the bank balance. On this side. But remember, I wouldn't add it. I would deduct it. The only things that are added onto the bank is any deposits that have not gone through. Okay? Any checks have to be deducted or subtracted. Then you also have to make sure that you're doing bank service charges. Now remember, the bank has already done service charges. They've already taken that money out. So service charges, of course, in order to reconcile, must be deducted from your bank balance here. So we're going to give you that heads up. The service charge has to be taken out from the checkbook. Now, the one tricky one that I'll tell you about is the last one. The bank collected a note. A note would be like somebody owing you money, right? A note for work.com. It was for $1,050, right? So it was for $1,050. But it says less 15, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Less a $15 collection fee.
Okay. So the first thing that we're going to say is, okay, I got my money from the bank, right? But the bank is keeping how much?
$15.
$15, right? So the bank is keeping the $15. So I'm going to then, no, that's going to be, bank is keeping the $15. Show it here. Now, because they went ahead and got that note for me, that means somebody owed me money. So it's on accounts receivable. If it's a note. A loan can be called a note. It can also be called accounts. And of course, on the vendor side, or on your side, if somebody owes you money, it's accounts receivable, right? If you owe somebody in accounts payable, that could also be a loan as well. Like I owe for my car, that's a car loan, right? Okay, so the total amount was $1,050 minus the $15. So how much goes into my accounts receivable? Only 1,000 what? Because the bank is keeping the other amount. Okay? So make sure that when you are journalizing, and which two items are you going to journalize? What do we need to journalize? Remember the daily journal.
The equipment purchases and the equipment.
Equipment purchase?
That's what's written. Letter C.
Forgot to record the equipment purchase.
Oh.
It's already it was already there. You have to record it, right? So you have to record we're reconciling. So all we have to do is make sure that we record the check number. But what two items did not get recorded that we would have to journalize?
Service charge?
Correct. The service charge and what else?
Collection.
The collection fee. Correct. So work on that. It'll give you 30 minutes or whenever you're done. See if you've balanced correctly. Just to make sure so that you all understand before you leave, because you still have to work on your chapter review. Yep. Just to make sure that everybody understands what we're doing. I'll freeze this for a second.
You want me to freeze this?
Yeah, pause it. Resuming here. So this is what it should look like. Of course, why don't we have the totals, Josue?
Why did it pause? Oh yeah, because we froze it. One moment. Oh, so I didn't do the totals. How you doing, folks?
There you go. So we should remember these are the outstanding checks that we said that we needed to put in, right? And those outstanding checks total to the $1,510. This is the deposit in transit. So what you're going to do is you're going to add these two, then you're going to subtract this, and you should end up with $8,090. On this other side, where your check balance is, move it over. Thank you. Notice this is the bank that was the banknote that was collected. So we have to go ahead and show that we ended up getting this money, right? Because it's already added into the bank. So we put it into our checkbook balance. We have to deduct the service charge, and we have to deduct the debit card, okay? Because it's not a check. So when we add this to the 8,000, but we subtract then the 1265, you end up with the balance of $8,900 as far as your checkbook and your bank reconciliation. Okay? Now, journalizing. Did you do the journalize? Pause.
That's a good question. Well, we're gonna teach it, aren't we?
Aren't we?
Yeah.
We
I'm
are?
gonna teach this.
Okay, so you're gonna teach it?
I guess so. So our first one would actually just have to be the collection of our bank note. So if we come back over here, we have to notice that this bank note was collected by the bank, meaning that we got money, the bank collected it for us from a customer of ours that owed us money. Now originally the textbook says that it's $1,050, but we only received $1,035 because the bank always has to take a little percentage of theirs for the processing and the collection of the customer's money into the bank for us. So the way it's going to be written out, or journalized, yes, is to show that cash was debited because we actually got this amount of cash for $1,035. I got to fix that because that's going to bug me all day long. One moment. So we actually get the increase of cash in our assets for $1,035 collected from a customer. Now we also have to show about this collection fee, and usually we're going to put it under miscellaneous expense because it's just a very small expense that happens with time. You could even put, instead of miscellaneous expense, you could even put bank collection fee. I'm going to put that in parentheses right now, just so you know what it was and can determine from it, if you look back into your book, on what it actually was. It was a bank collection fee of $15. So now if we look at these two numbers that we have right here, these two numbers show a total amount of $1,050 that we initially collected in the bank. But however, the bank always needs their money, so that's why we have this debit of miscellaneous expense, because they need their cut. And so the credit here is showing a decrease of how much our customer doesn't owe us anymore, which is that total amount of $1,050. And that's known as accounts receivable, if I can spell it correctly. And then this will be explanation note collected. And again, showing that it was cash collected, the raw amount of cash that we collected, which is $1,035 that we can spend now because it's in our bank account, along with that miscellaneous expense, that collection fee that that went to the bank, because that's the bank's money now, and then a decrease in our books of how much one of our customers owed us by that full amount, because that's how much they owed us. And finally, that next journalizing transaction would be that debit card charge, which was buying equipment for the business. So we'd first debit our office equipment, because that's what we bought. Debit card charge. But in addition to this charge, there was a bank service charge of $45 in addition with this transaction, because the bank just likes to charge us for using our debit card for a big amount. And this would be known as also that miscellaneous expense. Miscellaneous. And then you could even put here in parentheses service charge expense, just so you know exactly what it was. And now we'd also have to show a total, or our credit of cash, to be $1,265. And again, that's showing the purchase of office equipment. They didn't leave us a check number, right? No. So it was just
No, they didn't lose.
it was just a purchase of office equipment / service charge, because the bank likes to charge us for using their card for the money. And that's just how it goes, because you're showing that you did your purchase of office equipment that you bought from wherever you did, Home Depot, Lowe's, Tractor Supply, doesn't matter where you bought it. You bought office equipment, right? You have that miscellaneous expense because the bank wanted to charge you just because you used that amount of money of $12.22, and then it totals out of how much cash you actually had to spend for your office equipment. And that's it, folks. Back to you, Edna. Klaus.
Okay, so that's how we go ahead and reconcile, and the reason why those two are the ones that are reconciled. And again, usually because the reason that there's no check number is because remember we went ahead and we used our debit card, and typically banks do go ahead and put a fee on any purchases above a certain amount, especially if you have a debit card for a business. Okay, for a business, not a personal debit card, but for a business. If they say you can spend between this amount and this amount, yes, they're going to allow you, but they're still going to go ahead and put in that service charge fee. Okay, well, that expense. And again, also the other reason, of course, is that it goes into accounts receivable is because it's something that is owed unto you. It's a bank note from somebody else that is owed to you, and some banks will go ahead and do that. They will help you collect money from other people that owe you the funds. But believe me, believe it or not, there is still a charge, a fee for their processing, for their going through and helping you get the money that you deserve. But because they're working for you, and the key is working for you, that's why they're going to charge you as well. Okay? And these are the only two that are actually, from what we did right now in the bank reconciliation, these are the only two items that are going to be journalized. Again, because of the fact that they were not part of the general journal. We discovered this when we were doing the bank reconciliation, that we had forgot to journalize the debit card, and we forgot to journalize the fact that we got that note into accounts receivable.
Basically adjusting entries.
Yes, in a different way, because it's all done at the end. Okay? All right, so that's your assignments for today. You need to make sure that you save and submit. You still have to work on that Chapter 6 concept review questions, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
They're still there. Next week, we're going to be getting into payroll.